Welcome back to another episode of the DFS Express presented by Loudmouth MMA and MMAtoday.com. I am your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, here to talk UFC 222. The main event on paper is Chris Cyborg versus Yana Kunitskaya. The real main event is the co-main, Frankie Edgar and Brian Ortega. A few really good fights on this card, but we're here to talk about DraftKings. Going to run through every fight on this card, giving you a DraftKings specific fight that sometimes can be different than who I'm picking to win the actual fight, and then we will quickly build a tournament lineup. So let's jump right into it. Chris Cyborg is 9,700, the most expensive fighter on the card. Yana Kunitskaya, 6,500. Cyborg's going to roll through her. Let's not overanalyze and waste time. Cyborg is a lock in cash games. I'll probably stack it with Kunitskaya for the savings and find some other favorites. Tournaments a little different because Cyborg needs to smash. I'll have some exposure, but don't go crazy here because to end up on the optimal, the winning lineup, Cyborg's got to score a lot of points, and everyone else in that top range, she has to outscore all of them. So she's not a lock to end up on the winning tournament lineup. Frankie Edgar, 8,700. Brian Ortega, 7,500. I have Brian Ortega PTSD. I bet against him against Hanato Moicano and Cub Swanson. I felt better, obviously, about the Moicano fight until the third round. He pulls things out of nowhere. Frankie Edgar, a huge fan. I'm worried about him losing his title shot because I am a fan. But I think he gets the takedown. As long as he doesn't get subbed out, he should win the fight. I think he's a little better on the feet. Ortega's coming along, BJJ Wizard. He could catch a sub. I don't like relying on that, so the pick is Frankie Edgar. Edgar's also the hype smasher. He smashed Yair Rodriguez. We'll see if he does it to Ortega. I can't pick Ortega as my preferred play. I'll have a little bit on DraftKings because he will be so popular. I'll have a little bit in my tournament lineup. But the only one here I'm going to consider for cash would be Frankie Edgar. Andre Sukumta, 8,200. Sean O'Malley, 8,000. Welcome to the Sugar Show. I like Sean O'Malley here. I like the style, especially on DraftKings, that volume. Sukumta has power, but he once lost a fight where he knocked someone down 3 times. I think the style is going to be a little bit hard for him to deal with early. There's no way O'Malley loses a decision. He could get knocked out the way he fights. Someone's going to knock him out. I just don't think it's here. I'll take O'Malley for 8,000. Stefan Struve, 8,800. Andrei Arlovsky, 7,400. I think the line is off in this one. I thought this should have been a pick'em. I do think Arlovsky is more technical. Struve has the reach advantage, but I think Arlovsky can close that. Struve just took a beating from Volkov. He's just not very good. Arlovsky is coming off a win against Junior Albini, who I think I rate a little higher than most people. But that being said, he took some punches in that fight, showed his chin isn't totally gone. These are 2 heavyweights in there. I think Arlovsky's a little better anyway with the price savings. He's definitely my preferred play at 7,400. Next up, we have Caitlin Vieira, 8,300. Kat Zingano, 7,900. This is a fight I've been going back and forth on really all week. And I probably will keep going there. I don't know what Kat Zingano is going to show up. She's been 18 months out. She's incredibly freakish strong for 135. But Caitlin Vieira has got a judo, a wrestling background, BJJ black belt. I think even if Zingano ends up on top, Vieira is strong on the ground, could sweep her, could find a submission. I think there's more paths to victory for Caitlin Vieira. She's a little more expensive, but not enough for me to really sway this. I won't go heavy on either fighter here, but I'm going to give the lean towards Caitlin Vieira at 8,300. Next up, Mackenzie Dern, 9,000. Ashley Yoder, 7,200. This is the best fight in the UFC that they could have given to Mackenzie Dern. Yoder is a grappler who's nowhere near the caliber of Mackenzie Dern. Not great striking. Dern all day. I'll probably find a way to get her in my cash games. I think she gets a quick submission here. Just world-class BJJ. I don't think Yoder's going to have anything for her, so Mackenzie Dern's the play at 9,000. Beneil Dariush, 9,200, against Hernandez at 7,000. Hernandez making his UFC debut on short notice. He was training for a fight already, so it's not too much of a concern. But he's a grappler here, and Dariush is just on a different level in terms of UFC caliber competition, takedown defense. There's really no reason for me to doubt Dariush. He did have a draw against Evan Dunham last time out. Maybe he takes Hernandez lightly, but that's really the only way I see him losing. Hernandez probably would have gotten the UFC at some point. It's a big jump up. I can't count on him here. Dariush is the preferred play at 9,200, but I do think there are better options in that price range, Mackenzie Dern being one of them. John Dodson, 8,600, Pedro Munhoz, 7,600, rebooked from UFC Belém, where Pedro Munhoz missed weight. I won't kill him for that because apparently the hotel didn't have hot water, which is really kind of unbelievable. But Dodson's still the pick here. He's a little more expensive than last time. I'm not liking that, but he's got good counter wrestling. He's a better wrestler than people realize, and he has the speed advantage. Munhoz likes to get hit. I think Dodson will stick and move, stay away. Munhoz will be unable to land anything of real power and or close the distance to get a takedown, initiate the grappling. And even if he does, I think Dodson can stuff them. I think Dodson gets a decision win. I'm a little concerned about the scoring, but he's still the preferred play at 8,600. Hector Lombard, 8,400. CB Dalloway, 7,800. This is a fight you definitely need exposure to in GPPs. I think it ends in a finish. Both guys can gas out, but I think it ends early. Lombard is a monster in the first round. Dalloway gassed badly his last fight. Was finished a few times the fights before that. Had that elevator incident coming back down to 185 from 205. I rewatched some Dalloway footage. I like him as a person. The interviews I've seen of him, he seems like a nice guy. Don't think he's going to get it done here. Hector Lombard's a scary dude, especially in the first round. I think he gets the quick finish. That being said, the way I see this fight going, these guys are going to come at each other early and swing till someone drops, and that could mean anything happens. I do like Hector Lombard significantly more at 8,400. Zach Otto, 8,900. Mike Pyle, 7,300. I'm going to lean for the DraftKings pick here at Mike Pyle at 7,300, and that's because I need the price savings. And Zach Otto, I do not trust. He's 2-2. He went to a split decision against Josh Berkman, who also has no chin. And that's the biggest knock on Mike Pyle is he has no chin. And he said leading into this fight, this is his last UFC fight. It's hard to trust a guy like that, but this is a tournament-only play. I think Pyle could close the distance, make it a dirty fight, do some decent work in the clinch, press Otto up against the cage. Otto's going to want to keep this in space and get a knockout. He doesn't have heavy hands. The worry is Pyle's chin. So that's what it comes down to. How bad is Mike Pyle's chin? I'll take the shot in tournaments at 7,300, and I also just don't trust Zach Otto. Because of Pyle's chin, in full disclosure, I won't full fade Zach Otto in my GPP lineups. I usually build about 10. I'll probably have one, maybe two, just because of the chin concern. But Pyle's my preferred play for tournaments for the savings at 7,300. Cody Stamann, 8,500. Brian Caraway, 7,700. This is the other fight in the card I just have been going back and forth on. I'm going to lean towards the youth of Cody Stamann. Both guys can grapple. Caraway obviously more experienced, but he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. A lot going on. Hard to know where his head is out. Stamann showed decent stand-up in the fight against Tom Duquesnoy. I'll lean there towards 8,500, but I'm not quite sure if Brian Caraway is going to show up. Stamann's the preferred play. I do like him as a prospect. Hopefully the hype train keeps rolling. He's the pick at 8,500. Jordan Johnson, 9,100. Adam Milstead, 7,100. Milstead finally going back down to light heavyweight. Has spent some time at heavyweight. Could not stop a Curtis Blades takedown. Blew his knee out in that fight. And we'll see if he can stop the takedowns of Jordan Johnson, a D1 All-American 2 times, University of Iowa. Just drags people down. Johnson's my preferred play at 9,100 because I don't think Milstead can stop those takedowns. Johnson doesn't typically score very highly, though, so he's not going to be high up on my list in terms of GPP plays. I don't know if he can score 100 plus, but he is my preferred play. I think he gets takedowns and wins the fight at 9,100. Okay, now jumping over to our DraftKings lineup, going to build a lineup for the $4 sprawl. We'll be entering this. A couple of things to keep in mind that I mention every week when you're building tournament lineups. Be different. Leave some money on the table. Don't be afraid to go 1-5. I'd rather go 1-5 than 3-3. Obviously shooting for the 6-0 and taking down the tournament. I don't want to min cash. I want to win the whole thing. That being said, I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern and skip over Cyborg and kind of that upper tier. I think will be a common strategy this week. I also like Frankie Edgar. Hector Lombard, I think that fight ends in a finish for sure, one way or the other. Andrei Arlovsky, the heavyweights, can be boom or bust. I'll take the $7,400 heavyweight. Looking at what else I have here, Sean O'Malley is another guy I really like. I think that the mid-range could go a little under-owned this week. And then I'll take Ketlin Vieira as the last play. So the sample lineup we just built, Mackenzie Dern, Frankie Edgar, Hector Lombard, Andre Arlovsky, Sean O'Malley, Ketlin Vieira, $200 left on the table. That's what I have for you this week. Good luck in your contest. Enjoy our week off next week, and I will see you in 2 weeks.